Good evening, it's 8 o'clock. It's a sad day for India tonight as our deaths have touched a new record high and there's an SOS for oxygen across the country. Patients are dying, struggling to breathe. An oxygen emergency in India's top hospitals. Protests in Maharashtra as oxygen runs out. In Delhi, Ganga Ram and Max tell NDTV we have a few hours of oxygen left. The Delhi High Court cites NDTV reports saying the centre must arrange oxygen now. The government says we are addressing the situation as an oxygen express begins and says don't panic. In 24 hours, India now tops the global death tally. India's record deaths, the human tragedy behind this. A son dies at his mother's feet waiting for hospital admission. A son in an ambulance as his mother dies, again going from hospital to hospital for beds. And in Madhya Pradesh, more patients are dying as oxygen runs out in their hospital. Listen to this Mumbai doctor working 24/7. She breaks down as she talks of the current situation in ICUs.
We have to literally manage patients at home with oxygen and this is not something we are enjoying. हम young लोगों को देख रहे हैं. I mean, we have a 35-year-old who's on the ventilator and we are not able to help people now. So we do not want, we really don't want any of you to be in that situation.
Amid India's health emergency, the Prime Minister meets with vaccine manufacturers. Meanwhile, Bharat Biotech, which makes Covaxin, announced a ramping up of production, saying they'll make 700 million doses a year. But right now, in Mumbai, vaccination centres run out of doses once again. A Maharashtra full lockdown likely, says the state cabinet. Essential shop timings are cut today to just 4 hours daily. A lockdown announcement is expected tomorrow. Mainly it will affect inter-district transport. But some good news, a dip in Mumbai cases in the last 24 hours. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi tests positive, says mild symptoms. Meanwhile, the Delhi Chief Minister's wife also tests positive. The Delhi Chief Minister isolates. More ministers and politicians test positive today. From Mumbai and Delhi, migrants leave once again. Stations, bus stands are crowded as migrants gather to leave. They say, despite appeals that we have no money, no food, how can we stay in the city? Don't travel to India even if fully vaccinated. The US Disease Center warning issued today as reports now emerge of a triple mutant variant. And amidst all this, let's not forget the heroes. Our special series on pandemic heroes, extraordinary Indians doing their bit to help in any way possible. Good evening. Our focus on NDTV is India's worst health crisis. Amid all the data, we've touched a record global death toll. But what about the tragedy of each life which is lost in India's worst health crisis? Desperate Indians today around the country are begging, pleading and dying, waiting for beds, oxygen and medicines. Just look at these visuals from different parts of India, whether it's rush for tests, whether it's rush for beds, whether it's rush for oxygen. Indians are standing in line literally for a matter of life and death. Just to look at some of the stories from around the country which capture what's actually happening. From Uttar Pradesh's Varanasi, a young man lost his life literally at his mother's feet. His mother sitting in that auto rickshaw and e-rickshaw as her son lies sprawled, dying. She just cannot get admission in a hospital because they said they couldn't take him in. He was a kidney patient and apparently had COVID as well. He didn't have a test. They went from one hospital to another. Let's go across to Hyderabad, where the situation here is a son searching desperately for a hospital bed for his mother who's lying dying in the ambulance. The mother eventually died. The young man said he went to hospital, but nobody gave him a bed because she didn't have a COVID positive report.
क्या कैसे खत्म हुए?
ऑक्सीजन की कमी के कारण।
कब?
ये सुबह 7 बजे।
आप सिलेंडर भी लेके आई थी?
हाँ, सब लेके आए थे, लेकिन ये लोग चाबी नहीं दिए खोलने के लिए।
तो किसने बताया था आपको ऑक्सीजन कम हो रहा है?
मैं खुद स्टाफ हूँ सर।
In Madhya Pradesh, 10 patients have died after a hospital in Bhopal, the state's capital, ran short of oxygen. This deaths coming at the People's Hospital, ironically named on Monday. Families said their relatives died because oxygen supply dipped fatally. The government says there have been no deaths due to oxygen shortage, but listen to what the families are saying. However, the hospital says there was a dip in oxygen pressure for some time. And as well, the buck is passed, lives are lost. In Ahmednagar, Maharashtra, again a desperate plea from doctors saying that we don't have oxygen left in our hospitals. Patients are actually being shifted to Pune in the hope that they'll get an oxygen supply there. So imagine if you're a critically ill patient being shifted to another city because you don't have oxygen.
Around about 80 to 85 patients are there for COVID, out of which around 80% are on oxygen, and of them around 25% on ventilator. So right now there is acute shortage of oxygen. Since last 3 to 4 days we are facing oxygen shortage, but somehow administration could manage this. But today there is acute crisis, and oxygen left is only for about 3 to 4 hours. If the situation is so grim, and if the administration is and the local vendors are not able to meet with the supply, not able to meet with the demand, then things will go out of control.
Can you imagine what patients, families, doctors are going through right now? And this is happening also in India's capital. Vishnu and Sonakshi, over to you, because we've actually got doctors are ringing up NDTV with SOS for oxygen. Vishnu.
Well, this is actually something which has been happening now for more than 24 hours, and by this morning the situation actually becoming literally critical in so many hospitals. The Delhi High Court has taken note of what the chairman of Ganga Ram Hospital told us at 4 p.m. today, that at 4 p.m. there were only 8 hours of oxygen which were left. Max Hospital has also said that they've got just about 6 to 12 hours left. Again, our goal in reporting all of this is not to bring about some sort of panic. We are only reporting the facts, and we also need to report that there are efforts which are underway to replenish the stocks. But Arvind Kejriwal, the Delhi Chief Minister, has tweeted 3 times in the last couple of hours, also referring to the NDTV report, saying that with folded hands, he pleads to the centre to ensure that there is oxygen supply. Manish Sisodia, the Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi, has given the oxygen stock status at 6 p.m. Now, this is important because Sonia, Maharaj Agrasen Hospital, only 5 hours left. Venkateshwar Hospital, only 4 hours left. Deepchand Bandhu, only 8 hours left. And we were talking about Gangaram, that's gone up to 16 to 18 hours, presumably because stocks have come. This is 6 p.m., 2 hours after that SOS call. Other hospitals, Burari Hospital, 8 hours. There are so many hospitals over here which overnight will run out of oxygen unless there is replenishment.
And let's just go across, because Vishnu, this is all about human lives. So let's go across to Sonakshi, who is at Delhi's big government hospital, the LNJP hospital. Remember, this is India's capital, where medical facilities are the best in the country. So imagine what it's like in other places. But Sonakshi, what does it mean for a patient's family when they're told there's no oxygen left?
Sonia, just answering your question to the point, standing with me right now is the brother of the patient behind me. The brother will tell you. आप प्लीज हमें संक्षेप में बताइए प्रॉब्लम क्या है, ऑक्सीजन की दिक्कत हो रही है?
मैडम, ऑक्सीजन की दिक्कत है। सुबह से हम कम 4 हॉस्पिटल में जा चुके हैं, ना तो बेड है ना ही ऑक्सीजन है। एक अस्पताल से दूसरे अस्पताल, दूसरे अस्पताल से तीसरे अस्पताल, ना तो कोई हमारे को सही से ये बताता है कि हमारे पास ऑक्सीजन है, बेड है, कुछ नहीं है। वो आगे भेज देता है, वो आगे भेज देता है। हम तो इतने परेशान हो रहे हैं, सुबह से अर्ली मॉर्निंग से निकले हुए हैं, लेकिन ये चौथा 5वां हमारे पास में हॉस्पिटल है। किसी ने हमारे को कोई भी ना तो कोई तसल्ली दी है और ना ही हमारे पास में कोई ऑप्शन है, हम कहाँ ले जाएं। ना कोई ऑक्सीजन है, ना ही बेड है।
I can also just add, a couple of minutes ago while I was waiting to speak to you, he actually asked the ambulance rider to take a round of the area because the patient was feeling suffocated and was feeling the discomfort sitting inside or lying inside the ambulance. So really the only message, or rather the people's sentiment at the moment here, is that officials, people in power, people who make those policies, please hear their voices out, because they really need your help right now. This patient, this family has been waiting since morning to get his brother admitted just into a hospital. Remember, a COVID patient.
Sonakshi, thanks so much. And Vishnu just mentioned, but let's just look at how strong the Delhi High Court has actually come down today on what's happening in the capital. The Delhi High Court has asked that first about the wastage of vaccine. This is bad planning. Has also said that we are losing valuable time. The pandemic will not discriminate, affects all. Vaccines have been open to 18 plus, but why wait for 10 days? Also, and this came on the oxygen shortage reports, that why not ban oxygen to industry amid shortage, says the Delhi High Court. The Delhi High Court slammed the centre, saying that petroleum and steel industries consume a lot of oxygen. Economic interests cannot override human lives, heading for disaster. The Delhi High Court said the use of oxygen to non-critical industries have been banned from 22nd of April. Why not today? Saying that steel and petroleum are big lobbies with deep pockets, but you have to convince them to cut down production. Also asking about reserving hospital beds. Now, the Delhi High Court also cited NDTV reports. The Delhi High Court said that they had actually, while they were hearing this crucial case, they said they were receiving WhatsApps citing NDTV reports on the shortage of Ganga Ram Hospital, and that 6 to 7 hours of oxygen left in both Max and Ganga Ram, saying the situation is very serious as well. Let's just go across to what this doctor at Ganga Ram said. But first, breaking news coming in. Prime Minister Modi will address the nation at 8:45 tonight. The news is just coming. He's had a series of emergency meetings in the last day from yesterday. That's when the vaccination decision was taken to open it up. He just met vaccine manufacturers, and he will now be addressing the nation at 8:45 p.m. on the COVID situation. So let's just listen to what the head of Ganga Ram Hospital, one of the main hospitals of Delhi, told NDTV at 4 o'clock this evening. The government has said that they will assure that Ganga Ram will get enough oxygen, but the Delhi Chief Minister, Deputy Chief Minister are saying other hospitals need it too. Let's listen to what Dr. Rana said.
The oxygen shortage is going on since yesterday. We have prayed both government, state as well as central government, both are assuring us that they are trying their best. But in the morning, we have got about 400 cubic meter, and our requirement is too high, So the government is assuring, but we are not getting it actually. Every time since yesterday they say, yes, we are trying our best, we are trying our best. I think we will be able to run, if we have to run at full speed, then we are not able to run more than 8 hours,
This also has protests coming in from parts of Maharashtra as oxygen has run out outside the collector's office. So those protests there by relatives as well as people demand answers.
हम लोग यहाँ बैठे हैं क्योंकि हम लोग चाहते हैं कि पेशेंट्स को कहीं से भी जिला प्रशासन ऑक्सीजन की आपूर्ति करे और पेशेंट को ऑक्सीजन कंटिन्यू मिलता रहे, क्योंकि वो पेशेंट की जान बचे। और दूसरे हमारी मांग है रेमडेसिविर जिन ज़्यादा ज़रूरतमंद पेशेंट्स हैं उनको तुरंत मिलना चाहिए, और वो पेशेंट को जिनका लिस्ट में हॉस्पिटल्स के नाम नहीं है वहाँ हॉस्पिटल वाले लिख के देते हैं प्रिस्क्रिप्शन, और ये लोगों को कहीं मिलता नहीं, और ब्लैक में ये खरीदना पड़ता है। ये बड़ी खतरनाक स्थिति है।
And India has topped the global death count in the last 24 hours, beating Brazil's. India's overall deaths now top 1,80,000. The positivity rate hitting a record 16%. Our active cases are crossing 20 lakhs. So let's just look at the global numbers. So India, as we can see in the graphic just now, that is 1,761 deaths in 24 hours. That's the biggest spike that India's ever had, and now with the highest in the world, as this graphic actually shows. VK Paul of the Niti Aayog, Dr. Paul, has expressed concern, saying the next 3 weeks are crucial for India and its COVID response. So just giving an indication of what this actually means for doctors, nurses, healthcare workers working overtime during this pandemic. Listen to this Mumbai doctor who spoke to NDTV just a short while ago.
We have to literally manage patients at home with oxygen, and this is not something we are enjoying. So I really want all of you to follow a few things that I really, अगर आपको लग रहा है कि आपको 1 साल से कोरोना नहीं हुआ है इसलिए आप कोई सुपर हीरो हो या आपकी इम्यूनिटी बहुत अच्छी है और आपको ऐसे कुछ नहीं होगा, तो आप गलत फहमी में हो। हम यंग लोगों को देख रहे हैं. I mean, we have a 35-year-old who's on the ventilator, and we are not able to help people now. So we do not want, we really don't want any of you to be in that situation. So sorry. I think ये जो इमोशनल ब्रेकडाउन है हम डॉक्टर्स में अब सबको कोई ना कोई समय हो रहा है because we've not been so helpless. Okay.
That articulate young doctor, really a hero. They're describing what doctors are going through. Meanwhile, in Delhi, which we've been talking about, the shortage of oxygen supply also recorded its highest ever COVID deaths on Monday, 240 in 24 hours. Latest numbers coming in has said that Delhi has also crossed over 30,000 cases today. What does this mean for patients in Delhi struggling to get hospital beds? Sonakshi reports.
मैंने हाथ जोड़ जोड़ के बेड अरेंज किए थे, हाथ जोड़ जोड़ के अपनी मम्मी के लिए रात को. मैं मोदी जी से पूछना चाहती हूँ, मैं अमित शाह से पूछना चाहती हूँ, बंगाल में रैलियां कर रहे हैं वो, यहाँ क्या पेशेंट मर रहे हैं, इनको दिखाई नहीं देता.
The national capital reported its highest COVID deaths ever on Monday, 240 in 24 hours. India too witnessed its deadliest day on Tuesday with over 1,700 COVID deaths, its highest ever. But as India's COVID crisis deepens, families scramble from pillar to post for beds, oxygen and answers.
मैं LNJP से यहाँ पे रेफर किया था. यहाँ पे रेफर करने के बाद सुबह मैं यहाँ पे आया, 3 बजे मेरे पापा को एडमिशन किया. मैंने हाथ पैर जोड़ जोड़ के मैंने कहा ये मेरे परसों की बात है और है ना, कहा जाए ना, मेरे पापा की डेथ हो गई है.
Suraj's younger brother did not even get a chance to say a final goodbye to his father through a video call.
एम्स गया, सब दर्जन गया, ठीक है, RML गया, भाई GTV गया, सब जगह गया, कहीं ने भर्ती नहीं किया. फिर उसके बाद यहाँ पे आके 4 घंटे में खड़ा रहा एम्बुलेंस में. एम्बुलेंस वाला कह रहा भाई जब तक भर्ती नहीं करेगा मैं यही रखूंगा एम्बुलेंस. साथ में जाके कोई एक सीनियर आया, उसने कहा चलो इनको अंदर ले जाओ, ज्यादा तबीयत खराब हो रही है. फिर अंदर ले गए. उसके बाद 3 दिन तक 4 दिन तक कोई डैशबोर्ड वाले खबर ही नहीं दे रहे कि कहाँ है पेशेंट, कहाँ पे गया है, कुछ नहीं बता रहे. सुबह से लगे पड़े, कह रहे मेरा डाटा नहीं चल रहा है, अपडेट नहीं हो रही है, एप्लीकेशन नहीं हो रही है. फिर अब जाके SDM आया तो उसने लिखा, फिर उसके बाद ले गया ऊपर. और फिर नीचे कोई आया, उसने कहा तुम्हारे डैडी एक्सपायर हो गए रात में. और अब जाके बताया.
Not just that, at hospitals, families patiently camp outside, citing patient care problems.
यहाँ पे अंदर देखभाल के लिए अगर मानता हूँ कि अंदर पेशेंट हैगा, आप उसको जाने नहीं देते हैं, तो अंदर खाना खिलाने के लिए, टॉयलेट कराने के लिए कोई तो होना चाहिए. यहाँ पे मैं संडे के दिन सुबह करीब 6 बजे में आ गया था. सही है, 6 बजे से मैंने यहाँ पे देखा है एक भी पेशेंट ठीक होके नहीं जा रहा है. जो अंदर जा रहा है मैडम, वो मट्टी ही आ रही है, मर रहा है आदमी.
छोटे छोटे बच्चे हैं. अरविंद केजरीवाल से मैं हाथ जोड़ता हूँ कि केयर करो, कि केयर नहीं होती यहाँ पे अस्पताल के अंदर. कोई नहीं देखने वाला, यहाँ कोई नहीं है.
As India continues to fight an unprecedented medical emergency with an already overburdened staff, many grieving families continue to gasp for breath and a bed. With camera person Sushil Rathi in Delhi, Sonakshi Chakravarti for NDTV.
An absolutely heartbreaking report. They're listening to that young man who lost his father, and this is the reality for lakhs of Indians around the country. And so many different stories now of hardship, because as we go across live now to Saurabh Shukla, who's reporting from Delhi's main bus stand Anand Vihar, and Sohit Mishra, who's reporting in the Lokmanya Tilak terminus of Mumbai. Again, we see that desperate exodus of migrants. The big difference, at least they're buses and trains, but they're going back with no money once again. Sohit, over to you first from Mumbai.
That's right what you said. fact, the visuals are similar to what we saw last year when the crisis happened, and now people have started to gather from other places. There are people who are coming over here since morning. They are waiting. There are people who have waiting tickets and waiting. In fact, most of the people have lost their job. They don't have anything. And as we heard in the day that there might be a section, there might be a lockdown that might be announced tomorrow night by the Chief Minister. That means people are panicking and going back. Now remember that for the next 2 hours there is no train that is going to come over here. But wherever you will see, you will find people. There are men, there are women, there are children. In fact, we have few people over here. क्या नाम है सर आपका?
जी मेरा नाम मोहम्मद फिरोज खान है।
आप गांव कहाँ जा रहे हैं और क्यों जा रहे हैं?
मैं मऊ जिला है गाँव जा रहा हूँ क्योंकि जब यहाँ पे रोजगार नहीं है।
रोजगार?
हाँ, कमाई के जरिया सारे बंद हो चुके हैं। जब कमाई नहीं रहेगी, ये सब बोलने से पहले मैं आपको ये बोलना चाहता हूँ कि मैं NDTV का बहुत ही शुक्रगुजार हूँ।
सुनिए, आप बताइए कि गाँव क्यों जा रहे हैं? कमाई नहीं है और क्या दिक्कत क्या है?
शुक्रगुजार हूँ कि वो यहाँ पे आए हैं। बाकी सब चैनल जो है कोलकाता में बिजी है।
ठीक है, नहीं वो ठीक। आप बताइए कि क्या क्या दिक्कतें हो रही हैं?
दिक्कतें जो है सर, यहाँ पे कमाई का जरिया बंद है, होटल बंद है। ठीक है, जब कमाई नहीं होगी तो हम खाना कहाँ से खाएंगे? रूम का भाड़ा देना है, लाइट बिल भरना है, सरकार वो सब तो माफी नहीं कर रही।
तो ये काम आपका क्यों बंद है? ये किस वजह से ये सारे काम है आपके कम होते?
काम बंद नहीं है, उन्होंने बोल दिया गाड़ी चलाओ। ठीक है, मिनी लॉकडाउन लगा के रख दिया, पब्लिक बाहर निकलेगी नहीं, हम गाड़ी लेकर सीएनजी भरेंगे गाड़ी के अंदर।
So he is a cab driver is what I have understood, and what he is saying is people are not coming out, they don't have money, they don't know how they will pay their bills, they don't know what they will do. At the same time, he appreciates NDTV because we are covering this while others are covering the elections. Anyway, what we can say over here, Sonia, is that you will find people of all ages that have come from different places. Some of them are going to UP, Bihar, Kolkata and other places. Even in the morning as well as in the afternoon when it was around 38-39 degrees, similar incident happened. Now wherever I'll go, now remember that this is the first queue that you see over here. Sanjay Mandal sir will show you the second queue over there, the third queue over there, and the fourth queue is inside. So imagine the number of people who are presently over here at Lokmanya Tilak terminus. And as I said, for the next 1 to 1.5 2 hours there are no trains. The train is expected post 10 PM, but still what we can say is people in large numbers have started to reach at the Lokmanya Tilak terminus. Sonia?
Oh, and in some ways, so it's because, I mean, it's not about NDTV, but I remember you out on the road with migrants in the last 1 year. It seems that we've absolutely learned nothing. I'm glad that at least transport is there, and the railways actually reacted to your story in the morning saying we're ensuring that people have enough trains. But the fact remains, they don't have money, they don't have food. So, and they could also be taking the infection back to their villages. So it's a huge issue there. And I want to go across to Saurabh because, you know, in Delhi, at least in Mumbai and Maharashtra, the lockdown is likely to continue. In Delhi, it's only till Monday. The Chief Minister, the Lieutenant Governor, the police have all told migrants to stay, but nobody is actually believing that at the moment.
Absolutely, Sonia. I'll just show you the pictures. The pictures are as similar as yesterday. You can see these migrant workers are coming from metros and buses, and they are not ready to stop. Though, after yesterday's pictures, Delhi police has deployed civil defense personnel here who are trying to control the crowd, but actually they are here, I feel, for photo op, and I'm joined by a group of boys who are, Sonia, sacked by the employer, and the employer said that I don't have money to give you, go back to your villages. आपका नाम क्या है?
संतोष कुमार।
संतोष जी, आप क्या करते थे यहाँ पे?
मैं बेकरी में करता था।
तो आपके मालिक ने निकाल दिया आपको?
मालिक ने निकाल दिया, दुकान बंद हो गई, हमको बोला चले जाओ घर,
चले जाओ गाँव।
जी
हाँ, तो अभी तो सरकार कह रही है आप रुको, आपका ध्यान रखेंगे, आपको विश्वास नहीं है सरकार पर? क्या है
सर, सरकार पे क्या ध्यान है? हमको अब निकाल दिया तो हम कहाँ जाएंगे? दिल्ली से
आपके पास पैसे नहीं है?
पैसे नहीं है, गाँव जा रहे हैं। गाँव जा रहे हैं
तो किराया कैसे देंगे? जो गांव जा रहे हैं उसका जो किराया वो कैसे देंगे?
वो भाई थोड़ी सी मालिक ने आधे पैसे दिए हैं।
अच्छा, बस केवल किराया भर के?
जी।
So this is just one example, Sonia, and you can see lot of buses are parked there, and every bus is totally packed with these migrant workers. Though after yesterday, UP Transport Ministry and Delhi Police also is trying to coordinate with these bus operators to park the buses, so crowd is less, and but no social distancing at all, and these are other workers. आप क्यों जा रहे हैं? गांव क्यों जाना चाहते हैं? आप भैया, आप गांव क्यों जाना चाहते हैं?
मेरा काम है जी गाँव में।
हाँ,
ऐसे ही जा रहे हैं,
नहीं रुकना चाहते हैं दिल्ली? So you ask anyone, nobody wants to stay in Delhi. They think that a lockdown will be extended, Sonia, and then they remember those pictures and memories. Last time they walked for thousands kilometers on their foot, and they don't want to repeat that, Sonia.
No, it's again, as that young man said, he's been sacked. Now, who knows if his employer himself had the money to sustain a lockdown and pay him. So it's really a vicious cycle. We need some kind of cash payout, some kind of security net when these lockdowns are actually announced. But it's, as I said, it's an extremely difficult situation. No easy answers. Thank you, Sohit and Saurabh, for reporting consistently on this for the last 1 year. Meanwhile, as Sohit just reported, in Mumbai, migrants leaving because they're fearing a tougher lockdown. This as Maharashtra today ordered tougher measures, saying that groceries, vegetable shops, dairy milk will now only be open for 4 hours in the morning from 7 to 11 a.m. Home delivery won't be allowed after 8 p.m. Also today, the Maharashtra cabinet met and cabinet ministers said they've recommended to the chief minister that there must be a full lockdown announcement that's expected tomorrow. That means, because already everything is shut, but there's probably more curbs on transport, especially inter-district transport. The good news, however, in Mumbai is that there's been a dip in Mumbai cases in the last 24 hours. It's down to 7,000. This even though tests have gone up to 47,000 tests, there have been only 7,000 cases in Mumbai. So a first glimpse of good news there. The BMC says it's part of a trend of dipping cases in the last 5 days. This comes, however, as Mumbai's biggest vaccine centres once again ran out of vaccines today.
56-year-old Madhura Singh came here with her 80-year-old mother-in-law and sister-in-law for their second dose. They had an appointment. The Jumbo Centre had no vaccine.
नहीं, ये गलत बात है ना, इनको पहले इन्फॉर्म करना चाहिए ना पब्लिक को. ये कोई तरीका होता है? इतनी धूप में हम लोग एकदम ऐसे हालत खराब होती है और हर तरह के लोग आते हैं यहाँ पर. आज हम लोग को रिस्क है ना जिंदगी का.
Many are visibly upset.
I have taken an appointment. Can you see this? This is the appointment given yesterday on the government website. Now you come here and they say that there is no vaccine available.
The BKC Jumbo Centre wasn't the only one. And according to the municipality, out of 70-odd private centres, about 40 centres, that's over half, were either shut or were on the verge of closing. Even BMC-run vaccination centres had only a day's stock. Every day, about 60,000 people are vaccinated in Mumbai.
आज हमारे महानगर पालिका के बहुतेक वैक्सीनेशन सेंटर चालू है. कुछ निजी अस्पतालों में जो सेंटर थे वो उसमें से कुछ बंद है. उसके दो कारण है. एक तो उनका स्टॉक खत्म हो चुका है या उन्होंने स्टॉक लेने के लिए जो कुछ तकनीकियाँ पूरी करनी पड़ती हैं वो पूरी नहीं की है. आज संभावना ये है कि वैक्सीन हमारे पास में आएगा और हम कल से फिर से जो आज सेंटर बंद होने जा रहे हैं या हुए हैं वो शुरू करने का हमारा प्रयास रहेगा.
The plan now is to vaccinate all those who are above 18 from May 1. But for that, a formidable strategy needs to be in place so that the beneficiaries won't miss out on the vaccine. In Mumbai, with camera person Praveenji Rohit, this is Purva Chitnis for NDTV.
Meanwhile, the other big headline, one by one, all India's top politicians are testing positive. Today, Congress MP Rahul Gandhi tweeted that he tested positive. He said he had mild symptoms. Remember, he was campaigning in Bengal last week, though the Congress then stopped public rallies. The Delhi Chief Minister's wife has also tested positive today. The Chief Minister has isolated. Also today, Senior Minister Jitendra Singh has tested positive, and Congress leader Anand Sharma. Narendra Modi has tweeted wishing Rahul Gandhi the best, as has Home Minister Amit Shah. Ex-Prime Minister Manmohan Singh is said to be stable, said the Health Minister. He is currently at AIIMS after testing positive yesterday. A quick look at other news. Well, there will be no lockdown in 5 top Uttar Pradesh cities for now, as the Supreme Court has paused an order by the Allahabad High Court, which had actually said the state must lock down these 5 cities where cases were rising at an alarming rate. However, the Uttar Pradesh has announced a weekend lockdown today across the states. In the arguments today, Solicitor General Tushar Mehta told the court that the court can't impose lockdown. It's a policy issue, domain of the executive, saying a sudden lockdown will cause hardships to citizens and administration. They added that some observations of the High Court, like only VVIPs getting treatment, are unwarranted and based on hearsay. A quick look at markets. Well, markets lower for the second straight day. The Sensex sliding by 243 points. Also, the Nifty falling 63 points. IT shares declining the most. Nifty IT down 1.4%. Experts say the vaccination opening for all above 18 from May the 1st has boosted sentiment that has fallen further, but the concern on COVID spread and a partial lockdown situation remains. Meanwhile, the US's top health body, the Centre of Disease Control, has issued a travel advisory saying a very high level of COVID-19 in India. So even fully vaccinated may be at risk. The United States has placed India in the highest level 4 category and warned all United States citizens to avoid all travel to India over spreading COVID-19 variants. Even in these dark times, however, there are people who are out there doing their best. Of course, the heroes of doctors, nurses, healthcare workers, but even just ordinary Indians who are doing extraordinary work. Our special series on NDTV today.
अभी तकरीबन 500 से ज़्यादा कॉल आ रही है, तो इस हिसाब से मतलब और ऑक्सीजन की कमी के चलते हम लोग नहीं पहुंचा पा रहे हैं जिस हिसाब से हमें पहुंचाना चाहिए था, लेकिन हम लोग कोशिश कर रहे हैं जितना हो सकता है हम लोग लोगों तक ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोगों तक ऑक्सीजन पहुंचाएं जो घर में होम क्वारंटीन है, जिसको भी और जिसको इमरजेंसी में ज़रूरत पड़ती है। और हमारी टीम भी इसके लिए 24 घंटे काम कर रही है। अगर किसी को इमरजेंसी होती है या फिर कुछ होता है तो हम लोग कोशिश करते हैं जल्दी से जल्द पहुँचा दें उनके।